Right now on KGW, fires continue to burn out of control in Southern California. The new information we're learning as over 1,000 structures are burned. And the latest on the Cybertruck that exploded in front of a Trump hotel in Las Vegas, why authorities believe AI could have aided the suspect in the explosion. Plus, a St. Helens teacher already charged with sex abuse faces a new indictment. And later, rising flu cases are putting a strain on local emergency rooms in Clark County. Your news at noon starts right now. We start this afternoon with a live look at the wildfires burning right now around Los Angeles. At least 3 continue to burn out of control. More than 20,000 acres have burned and 80,000 people are under mandatory evacuation orders. The Palisades fire near Malibu and Pasadena is the largest, jumping to more than 11,000 acres burned. Thank you for joining us. In an update this afternoon, officials confirmed 2 people have died and there are, quote, a high number of significant injuries to residents who did not evacuate. More than 1,000 structures have been destroyed. This map here shows how widespread the fires are. A state of emergency was issued for Los Angeles and most of LA County. And a red flag warning remains in effect from Santa Barbara all the way down to the U.S.-Mexico border. President Joe Biden and California Governor Gavin Newsom were briefed on the fires just about 30 minutes ago. And Vice President Kamala Harris issued a statement saying in part she and her husband are praying for their fellow Californians who have been evacuated. Now, earlier today during a press conference, the L.A. County Fire Chief says his department has requested support from nearby counties, but help is also on the way from the Pacific Northwest.
We have also requested resources from out of state, as well as Northern California. Thank you to the first responders from Nevada, Oregon, and Washington State that are already on the road coming to LA County to assist.
The Oregon State Fire Marshal is sending 12 strike teams from across the state. That includes firefighters from Portland Fire and Rescue. This is video as that team heads down to California. That was just less than an hour ago. They will be part of the Multnomah County strike team, as well as crews from Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue who are leaving today. Our photographer was there as they packed up tents and other supplies. In the meantime, Los Angeles fire officials say there are more than 1,500 first responders working to fight the fires, protect buildings, and rescue residents who did not comply with evacuation orders. NBC's Liz Kreutz has more from Malibu.
The winds are picking up here, and I have to tell you, we have been watching what truly has to be described as an apocalyptic scene here overnight, with home after home here in Malibu up in flames. Behind us here, as we're getting a glimpse now with daylight coming up, you can see these coastal beachfront homes just erupting in flames. And this is the scene that we've seen all up and down the Pacific Coast Highway right now. Firefighters have been trying to get a handle of these flames, but they've simply been overwhelmed by the fact that there are multiple fires burning across the region right now. Overnight, there were multiple fires, or 2 ignited in East LA County. One, you see these dramatic videos of people trying to hose down their properties as they're forced to evacuate. There's another one in Altadena where elderly patients are being evacuated from their senior center in their wheelchairs, and a Jewish temple up in flames in Pasadena. All of this coming amid this really intense windstorm here. Yesterday, the Pacific Palisades fire that we're dealing with right now ignited, and we were with the hundreds of people as they tried to get out in bumper-to-bumper gridlock traffic. Some of those people just abandoned their cars to flee on foot. A bulldozer came through to, remove those cars to create a path for first responders. It is an intense, volatile situation right now, and the scariest part about all of this is it is just getting started with these winds just picking up. The worst of it, we're told, still to come as firefighters try to get a handle of all of this. Back to you.
Just so scary to watch. Let's get to meteorologist Rod Hill. Rod, you've been tracking these conditions all morning. The winds just haven't let up.
No, they haven't. If you look at individual observations going back to before sunrise, some areas have seen the worst of their winds ease a bit, but other areas that weren't as bad are now worse than ever before. So overall, to your point, the wind fields have not let up, and the wind warnings and red flag warnings are still up until at least 6 o'clock early this evening. Behind me, so all of this kind of tan color is the high wind warning. It includes from San Diego up into LA, and then you've got the red alert or red flag warnings for high fire danger as well, including Santa Barbara. So all total, if you go up to Santa Barbara and you draw a distance line in miles down to the Mexican border, this is an area that encompasses over 230 miles and goes inland to the mountain ranges that separate resort areas like Palm Springs. So that's more than 70 miles inland. Basically, the area that most of us refer to when we say Southern California is included in this. And again, the high wind warning's up until at least 6 o'clock. Here is our weather model from Futurecast showing that right now there's still winds gusting to about 38 in LA, 33 in San Diego. Up towards Santa Barbara, other models show could be some of the worst winds right now, with fields encompassing large areas getting gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now, this low is the main meteorological trigger for these winds that are being pulled in from the east. The good news is this evening that low significantly starts to move off to the east. That times out to where the Weather Service has the wind warnings expiring at about 6 p.m. So if this model were correct, the wind's significantly down later this evening and then significantly down tomorrow. There will be strong winds tomorrow east of the valleys that include Palm Springs and over into New Mexico. But let's hope that at worst we've got 4 to 5 or 6 hours of these winds being extreme before they fade away. We all know if the winds are gusting 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, you can't do anything. The highest wind gust, by the way, was Fremont Canyon. This was at an elevation about 1,700 feet, 94 mile per hour gust at that elevation. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rod. Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. Today, President-elect Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court to block criminal proceedings in his New York hush money case. A sentencing hearing for the case is scheduled for this Friday. Today's request comes after a New York appeals court declined to block the sentencing yesterday. Trump's attorneys are continuing to argue the case should not go forward because he was protected by presidential immunity. And officials say the soldier who authorities think blew up a Cybertruck outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas used artificial intelligence to help him set off the explosion. Law enforcement says 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger asked ChatGPT for information on how to put together an explosive. And former President Jimmy Carter is now lying at the U.S. Capitol. This is a live look inside the Capitol Rotunda. He will be buried in Georgia tomorrow afternoon after a funeral service at the National Cathedral in Washington. Delta Airlines will start linking its SkyMiles loyalty program to Uber this spring, ending a longtime partnership with Lyft. Members will be able to earn 1 mile per dollar spent on Uber airport rides, 2 miles for every dollar spent on premium rides, and 3 miles per dollar on Uber Reserves trips. And those are your national headlines. And in developing local news this afternoon, a retired high school teacher in St. Helens, already facing sex abuse charges, now faces a new indictment. According to court documents, Mark Collins, a former math teacher, is charged with an additional count of misdemeanor sex abuse. He's now accused of abusing 4 minors. His previous felony charges were reduced to misdemeanors. Collins is one of 2 teachers first arrested in November who sparked a growing sex abuse investigation within the district. And starting this fall, all Portland public school students need to have their phones turned off and away for the entire school day. That includes lunch periods and in between classes. The board voted 5-2 to approve the policy last night. The new policy will affect all PPS students K through 12. The district hasn't said how they plan to keep phones out of students' hands. And the school board also voted on a couple of other big issues last night. Here's a look. For one, the board unanimously approved a resolution to protect undocumented students, saying the district will not provide information or grant access to buildings to federal immigration authorities. The board also voted in favor of a bond measure that people will vote on this May. According to the staff report, the bond measure calls for maintaining the tax rate that's currently in place. And a new law just went into effect in Oregon, which classifies drug use on public transit as a Class A misdemeanor. So now if transit police catch someone using drugs on the MAX or a TriMet bus, that person can be arrested and face almost a year in jail, a $6,000 fine, or both. According to the new Multnomah County DA Nathan Vasquez, those people will not qualify for deflection.
It's pretty bad. You can usually smell it on the trains, and you can, see people doing it any time of day. At night, it's the worst.
So instead of providing medical care, what we're doing is sending them through a criminal justice system for just using on here.
At TriMet, we welcome the change in drug laws, as they will help make areas on and around our transit system safe.
And we have more information about all of this in the full version of our story at KGW.com and on our KGW YouTube page. We're also watching the latest developments in the planned strike at Providence hospitals. If a new contract agreement isn't reached, 5,000 doctors and nurses could walk off the job on Friday. Providence says it's planning to hold bargaining sessions today with 2 units at the Providence Women's Clinic. This could be the largest healthcare workers' strike in state history. We spoke with a law professor specializing in labor issues.
It's a lot of people, it's a lot of patients, and it's leverage for the healthcare staff that's going on strike. They know that the more that they can raise the stakes, the more they're going to be listened to from the front offices.
Providence St. Vincent is already capping the number of patients at that facility just in case. It says it has replacement nurses set up, but not enough doctors. If a deal isn't reached, the strike is set to begin at 6 a.m. on Friday.